I was a doctor and an East Asian medicine practitioner. I had all the tools. I knew all of the medicines and the modalities. I knew everything inside and out about these diseases, but none of that made me better. I really want to take this video actually to share a little bit about my journey and why this work is so important to me and close to my heart. It's because I have walked this path. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. I'm Dr. Sarah. I'm a naturopathic doctor and an East Asian medicine practitioner, and I have a master's in traditional Chinese medicine and acupuncture and a doctorate in naturopathic medicine. I work in the mind, body, and mental emotional realm in helping to support people with chronic disease and dysregulation, like autoimmune disease, chronic fatigue, fibromyalgia, mast cell activation, chronic digestive distress, and mental illness, and really support them out of those spaces, out of disease and dysregulation, and into true freedom and liberation, not only in their bodies, but also in their lives. Easy to say that 2021 was the worst year of my life. For all of my astrology girlies out there, it was the middle of my Saturn return. I really found myself in the throes of ancestral trauma. I was playing out ancestral trauma through my relationships, through the people that were getting called in, through my experiences, through the pains and patterns that I was facing. And it was so difficult. It's no surprise to me that after that year is when I got diagnosed with my autoimmune disease. I had been playing inside of a relationship that was called in by my wounds around my lineage, my dad's side, where there is a lot of abuse, there's a lot of addiction, there's a lot of mental illness, and I found myself inside of a relationship to play all of those dynamics out, and it was incredibly difficult. It was incredibly painful. I kind of hopped right out of that relationship into another really abusive dynamic. At the same time, I had also lost some really beautiful, important friendships that I couldn't understand why. One of my best friends got diagnosed with cancer and lost her. We had done both of those programs together since day one. Just witnessing her in that journey was so much. So going through a breakup of an abusive relationship, losing my friend to ride with in the programs that I was in, having to witness her and, up close go through the journey of cancer and how tragic and painful that was, losing some of the most important friendships that I had at that time and not understanding why, then jumping into another abusive situation basically after leaving that dynamic, and also into a moldy home. It was no surprise to me that I was diagnosed with my autoimmune disease after that crazy year. It was actually the summer of that year. Nothing makes sense when you are in that space. Even if faith is a strong thread in your life, it feels like it doesn't exist because you can't understand. I couldn't understand why that was happening to me. And I was seeing so many different providers at the time that, of course, all they could offer me was medications and supplements to help with inflammation. And nobody was actually asking the questions of why is this happening? Why have I gone for my whole entire life without ever having an autoimmune disease or dealing with any of these issues, dealing with inflammation? And then all of a sudden, after this most difficult year of my life, I get diagnosed with an autoimmune disease and nobody's asking why? They're just gifting me and offering me treatments and modalities that are basically going to artificially lower my inflammation or shut off my immune system. And being a vitalist at heart and really being so passionate about mind-body medicine and the mental emotional realm, I was like, no, there's more going on here, and these things are not going to make me better. I really dove into mind-body medicine and the mental emotional realm and how these different traumas and suppressed emotions and core wounds and false limiting beliefs, how they actually show up in the body. I became really passionate about it because it's what I used to heal my body when nothing else was working. It's I was a doctor and an East Asian medicine practitioner. I had all the tools. I knew all of the medicines and the modalities. I knew everything inside and out about these diseases, but none of that made me better. And so really diving into the literature and the neuroscience and the science around all of this, it was mesmerizing to me. And it really offered me a alternative lens that actually made sense sense to me. It's like we know that for every 1 point increase in adverse childhood experiences, our likelihood of developing a chronic and invisible disease goes up by 20%. And like most of us probably watching this right now, like my ACE score is a lot higher than 1. It made a lot of sense. And really diving into the literature and the clinical research around this, like I was not surprised, but I was just so astonished. Like I didn't learn any of that in school. It really opened up this door of just like, what actually do people need in order to heal? I believe that practitioners, as well-meaning as they are mostly asking the wrong questions. We're not asking why. We're taking for face value that people are inflamed, that people are dysregulated, that people are in disease, and just treating that instead of asking the deeper questions of why this disease and dysfunction is going on. Diving into this really opened that space up for me and actually allowed me to start healing. Like many of us, I'm sure that can resonate with me. I come from a deep lineage of so much trauma and so much woundedness, so many deep pains and patterns. My dad, I lost when I was 20 years old, and also 4 of my uncles, pretty much all under the age of 60 due to adverse childhood experience related illnesses and deaths. My dad got addicted to crack cocaine after being a functioning alcoholic for his whole life. And, a lot of my uncles have parallel stories, and it is heartbreaking. That is devastating because I know that my dad and my uncles did not have the tools and the science and all of this information that we now have in order to make different decisions. So I have so much compassion and also just so much grief. I have so much grief and so much anger that they had to leave this earth so early, that me and my sisters and my cousins had to bury our parents as children. It breaks my heart, but it also is the fire, the rage, and the grief that has motivated me into the work that I do. They are the reason all of the families like them, because I know that there are so many families, there's so many people out here listening to this, receiving this, that also share a similar story. And they're not wanting to pass on these pains and patterns into their lineage because this is how we heal. This is how we do generational healing. It's by learning the tools that we need and actually healing so we don't pass these pains and patterns on to our children. I have taken all of that anger and all of that grief that I have around the losses of these incredible men of my life and put them into my work. If I wouldn't have gotten sick, I wouldn't probably have dove so deeply into this. If I wouldn't have lost my dad and my uncles so early on in life through adverse childhood experience related illnesses and deaths, I probably wouldn't be doing this work. I know that there's so many other people out there that could probably resonate with my story. I just want to say, I love you and I see you and I'm holding you from afar and I'm celebrating you for being interested in this work, for having the agency and having the faith and the resiliency, the capacity to do this work, to choose a different way, because it is a deep honor for our life, for the continuation of our lineage, but also for our ancestors, for the ones that didn't know that there was another way. God bless all of them, truly. But I'm so proud of you for being here and for your willingness and your capacity to choose another way. Thank you for listening to my story. If this resonated with you or you want to share your story with me, I would absolutely love that. If you enjoy this type of content, please let me know so I can make more of it. And as always, stay connected with me here on Instagram, inside of Root Cause Academy in my Mind Body Masterclass series. It's such an honor to share in this space and do this work with you all.